in 2012, Kenny and AWOL, me and Eve 6, we did a show in either Buffalo or Syracuse, New York. It was a radio festival. And we were walking backstage. Kenny was wearing a t-shirt that I owned, and I remarked on that. We got to just chatting, and yeah, we just exchanged contact info after that. You know, Kenny does a lot of production, songwriting work. I do some of that too, so that's always best to do with someone that you vibe with and have similar taste to, which we had. So we started working together in that capacity, kind of on and off when our bands weren't touring for a few years. Kenny brought up the name, and I think it's the only name that was ever brought up. I loved it just because it's a lot of things, but it's definitely not a band name. Band names are so silly, and fitness exposes band names for what they are, which is kind of a silly thing. Agriculture was our first foray into a little body of work. I think we hadn't yet discovered what we were. I guess that's sort of an ever-changing thing anyway. I don't think we've landed in some fixed place, but with karate, we had more of a band identity. It's sort of like we'd exercise this fitness thing. With Agriculture, we wrote 5 songs, and those 5 songs were the EP. With karate, we probably wrote 30. So we had more to choose from and probably a higher bar. We wanted it to be as good as possible. It's an instinctual process. It's not so much an intellectual pursuit as much as it is what feels good right now musically. The processes aren't as different with fitness as they have been for me in other projects, because we generally do write and record almost simultaneously. Sometimes Kenny will have more of a finished track, sometimes it's chord structure and beat. I write to that as he's filling in the blanks production-wise, and usually sing right away after that, track a vocal, which I really enjoy because it's like you don't lose that urgency. Everything is sort of more immediate. We just follow our whimsy wherever it may take us. With karate, Cold Rain was one of the later songs that we did. It's probably my favorite song on the record, and it just, it's one of those that kind of wrote itself, sort of just about getting out of the way, and the musical bed is so evocative that I didn't feel like I had to do, you know, that much. Kenny's favorite song is probably Long Gone, which was the last song we did right on the eve of when we had to turn in the record for distribution. It's sonically a little bit different than the rest of the record. It's just got a single vocal in the verses. We usually like to play with a lot of, you know, we double everything and love writing harmonies and stuff like that. Long Gone is a little bit simpler. It's transcendent. So I hope people have a transcendent experience listening to karate. If I was trying to write to please Eve 6 fans, a lot of whom I think probably stopped listening to new music in like 2003, people do tend to get stuck in certain areas. And there's definitely been a welcome group of big Eve 6 fans who also love fitness, and same with AWOL Nation. We are, with fitness, kind of completely starting over, building a completely new base, touring in a band, carrying our own gear. We have a very DIY ethos, and it's validating. It's more validating because of that. If you love something, the work doesn't feel like work, and when it does, it's work with a purpose. We work really hard, but we also do have time for family. Kenny and I are both family dudes. There's a lot of FaceTime calls on the road. We're very, very diligent about that. It's been a net positive for sure. We're able to distribute our music to a fairly large audience without a label or any of the traditional machinations that were a necessity just a few years ago. With the streaming services, it's been a great way for us to find new listeners, and we've had tremendous support from some of the curators at Spotify and Apple Music. Slowly but surely, monetization of internet streams and plays has improved. Even with Eve 6, that, you know, we sold like 3 million records and never really made money off those record sales. We made money off of live shows and off of publishing, and that's kind of the way it is now. What we're doing, why it serves us and serves others who do it similarly, is like we own our masters. So Spotify and Apple Music is paying us for the recording and not paying a label. So we're making money from the master, and we're starting to see some money from the publishing. You know, we're not stopping, so we're building this thing. The future's so bright, we have to wear shades because it's so bright from the glare, because the future, because it's so powerful and its luminescence is just, it's like blinding because of its incandescent qualities. And that's why, I know that's why Kenny wears sunglasses. And I don't need them as much because I'm a little bit more vital than he is. Mind you, a fairly perceptible amount, like to the lay person, but like I'm a little bit, just a tiny bit better than Kenny. But not so much so that you guys would probably notice. You don't have to say if you have or haven't.